Hello, children. Today we will do another chapter of your English course book, Wordsworth. Children, what is magic? As you can see on your screen, the word magic. What is magic? Magic is the secret power that some people believe that can make strange or impossible things happen. It's a secret power that can make strange or impossible thing happen. This is what people believe. Do you ever dream of some magic things? Do you ever a magic stick that can give you all that you want, or a magic pencil that can complete your work automatically, a magic pencil, or a magic dress that can make you as pretty as fairy or angel, a magic dress, a dress of magician, or a magic watch that can take you in past or in future, or some kind of magic band that can disappear you in the eyes of others. Or do you ever dream of a magic pot that can give you all the delicious dishes you want to eat? Children, I am sure you must be watching the cartoon show Doraemon, isn't it? Where the cat Doraemon has some gadgets in his pocket, and he fulfills all that Nobita wants, isn't it? So, children, today we will study chapter 6 of your English course book, The Magic Paintbrush. The Magic Paintbrush. Children, in this story, there is a boy who loves to draw pictures, but he was so poor that he cannot afford to buy pens, pencils, or colors. Then one day, an old man gave him a paintbrush. So, what happens with that paintbrush? What the little boy did with that brush, will discover this in the chapter. So, let's read the chapter, The Magic Paintbrush, chapter 6 of your English course book. Let's read the first paragraph. Jack was a small boy who loved to draw, but he was too poor to buy pens, pencils, or colors. So he drew pictures in the sand with stones or sticks, or even with his fingers. Now, children, this is the first paragraph of your this chapter. Jack was a small boy who loved to draw. Children, in this paragraph, there was a boy named Jack, and he loved to draw. The boy loved to draw pictures, and he was very fond of drawing pictures, but he was so poor that he could not afford to buy pens, pencils, or colors. He was not having money to buy pencils or pen or colors. So he used to draw pictures in sand with some stones or sticks, or sometimes even with his fingers. Children, we can also draw pictures on sand with our fingers. You can try sometime. So this boy Jack was poor, so he could not buy pens, pencils, or colors to draw pictures. Now let's read the second paragraph. Once Jack was drawing a picture on the ground. An old man saw him and asked, "Would you like to fill colors in your pictures?" Now, the second paragraph. Once Jack was drawing a picture on the ground, an old man saw him and asked, "Would you like to fill colors in your pictures?" Now, in this paragraph, this when one day when this little boy Jack was drawing pictures on the ground, an old man saw him. An old man saw him drawing pictures. So that old man asked him whether he would like to fill colors in his drawing. The old man asked him if he wants to color the pictures which he was drawing. Third paragraph. I don't have the money to buy colors, Jack replied. Here's a brush for you. The old man gave him a golden paintbrush. Jack was delighted. Now, when the old man asked him that if he wanted to color his drawing, answered the old man that he is not having money to buy colors. He is not having money to buy colors to fill in the drawing, to color his drawing. So when the old man heard that Jack is so poor that he cannot buy colors, he gave him a paintbrush of golden color. It was a golden paintbrush. The old man gave him a golden paintbrush. Now Jack was extremely delighted, extremely happy. He was delighted to receive the paintbrush because now he can color his drawings. Next, thank you, he said with a pleased smile. Now I can draw pictures for people to make them happy. Now, after receiving the paintbrush from that old man, Jack thanked him with a pleased smile. He thanked him for that paintbrush and then said that now he can draw colorful pictures for people which will make them happy. Next page and next paragraph. The very next day, Jack painted a duck using his new paintbrush. As soon as he finished, the duck came to life and flew off the paper and onto the pond. Wow, he said, this is a magic paintbrush. Now, after getting the paintbrush from that old man, unknown old man, Jack painted a duck. He painted a duck using that paintbrush. He was not aware, Jack was not aware that paintbrush has something special about it. So he just painted a duck using that paintbrush. And as soon as he finished that painting, the duck which he has painted came to life. It became a real duck and it flew off the paper and then onto the pond. The duck which Jack has painted became a real duck because of that magic paintbrush. Now Jack was surprised and he exclaimed with joy and surprise that it was a magic paintbrush. He was very surprised and he was happy also. So he exclaimed that it was a magic paintbrush. Next, Jack was a kind boy. He began to paint pictures for the poor people in the village. He painted a bullock for the poor farmer who was plowing the land himself. He painted food for the needy and toys for the poor children. Now, Jack was a kind boy. He was very caring. He was caring about others. He was generous, you can say. And after realizing that the paintbrush was a magic paintbrush, and it can bring anything to life if painted with that brush. It can bring anything life. If anything is painted with that brush, that thing will become life. So he started painting pictures for the poor people in the village. What he did? He painted a bullock for the poor farmer who was plowing the land himself. Children, plowing is actually part of farming. It is done to loosen the soil so that seeds can be sown. So this plowing task is done with bullocks in the village. But since the farmer was very poor, he was not having money to buy bullock. So he used to do this plowing with himself, with his hands. So to help him, Jack drew a bullock for him. He drew and painted a bullock for him because after painting the bullock, the magic brush will make the bullock live. He will make the bullock real. So what he did, he drew a picture of bullock and painted it with that brush, that magic brush, and the bullock became live, a real bullock. And he gave that to the poor farmer so that he can do his farming. He can do plowing of the land. He also helped the needy people, the needy poor people, by painting food for them. For the people who were hungry, he painted food for them. He also painted toys for the poor children who could not afford to buy toys for themselves. So he painted toys for the poor children also. Next, the king heard about the magic paintbrush. He sent his soldiers to find Jack. Come with us, said the soldiers. The king wants you to paint some money for him. But the king is already rich, said Jack. I only paint to help the poor people. But the nasty soldiers took Jack to the king. Now, the news about the magic paintbrush reached the king. The king heard about the magic paintbrush and he sent his soldiers to find Jack. Soldiers came to Jack and they ordered him to come with them. The soldiers ordered Jack to come with them and they said that the king wanted him to paint some money for him. The soldiers told Jack that king wanted to paint some money for him. The king wanted Jack to paint some money for him. Now Jack replied the soldiers that king is already rich. He's already having lots of money. Then why did he want him to paint money for him? So Jack told the soldiers that he only paint for poor people to help them. So he will not paint money for the king. Why? Because the king is already rich. But the rude soldiers, the nasty soldiers, did not listen to Jack and they took him to the king. Next paragraph. Paint me a sack of gold coins, the king shouted. Jack said bravely, No. The angry king ordered his soldier to lock him up in the prison. Now, when the soldiers took Jack to the king shouted at the Jack and ordered him to paint a sack of gold coins for him. Now, Jack was very brave. He was a brave boy. He bravely said no to the king. He was not ready to paint gold coins for the greedy and that unkind king. And he bravely said that he will not paint any gold coins for him. Now the king became very angry and he ordered his soldiers to put him in the prison, to lock him in the prison. Children, prison is a building or a room where criminals are kept as punishment. It is also called jail. So Jack was sent to jail. Why? Because he refused to paint gold coins for the king. He was not ready to paint gold coins for the king. So king was angry and he put Jack into the prison. Next. Inside the prison cell, Jack used his paintbrush to paint a key for the lock and a horse he could ride away. When the soldiers began to chase him, he quickly painted a hole on the ground. The soldiers fell into this hole and Jack was able to escape. Now, after Jack refused to paint gold coins for the king became very angry and he sent him to the jail. Now, when he was in the jail cell, in the prison cell, he used his magic paintbrush to paint a key for the lock of that prison cell. And he painted a horse also. He painted key to open that lock of the prison cell and he also painted a horse so that he could ride away on it. But when he did this, the soldiers saw this and they began to follow him. They began to chase him. Now, what Jack did, he quickly painted a hole on the ground. And what happened then? The soldiers who were chasing him, who were running after him, the moment he made the hole became real hole. And the soldiers who were running after him fell into that hole. And Jack ran away from there. He escaped from there. In this way, he saved his life. He used that magic brush wisely and he saved his life also. So children, this was the story of that magic paintbrush. This boy Jack was kind. He was very smart boy, and he helped poor with his magic paintbrush, and he also wisely escaped from the king's captivity. So with this, we come to the end of the explanation part of this chapter. I hope you have understood the chapter well. After explanation, let's do a proper reading of the chapter. Jack was a small boy who loved to draw, but he was too poor to buy pens, pencils, or colors. So he drew pictures in the sand with stones or sticks, or even with his fingers. Once Jack was drawing a picture on the ground. An old man saw him and asked, "Would you like to fill colors in your pictures?" "I don't have money to buy colors," said Jack replied sadly. "Here's a brush for you." The old man gave him a golden paintbrush. Jack was delighted. "Thank you," he said with a pleased smile. "Now I can draw pictures for people to make them happy." The very next day, Jack painted a duck using his new paintbrush. As soon as he finished, the duck came to life and flew off the paper and onto the pond. "Wow," he said, "this is a magic paintbrush." Jack was a kind boy. He began to paint pictures for the poor people in the village. He painted a bullock for a poor farmer who was plowing the land himself. He painted food for the needy and toys for the poor children. The king heard about the magic paintbrush. He sent his soldiers to find Jack. "Come with us," said the soldiers. "The king wants you to pay some money for him." But he is already rich," said Jack. "I only paint to help the poor people." But the nasty soldiers took Jack to the king. "Paint me a sack of gold coins," the king shouted. Jack said bravely, "No." The angry king ordered his soldiers to lock him up in the prison. Inside the prison cell, Jack used his paintbrush to paint a key for the lock and a horse he could ride away on. When the soldiers began to chase him, he quickly painted a hole on the ground. The soldiers fell into this hole and Jack was able to escape. So, with this, the reading of this chapter is done. Children, I hope the chapter is very clear to you. This chapter of Magic Paintbrush about this boy Jack. And in the next video, we will be doing the exercise of this chapter. So, let's complete here. Thank you.